Greetings, greetings, greetings. You are now tuned into the vault. Trust Christian own nothing control everything. Just want to thank you for tuning in live, listening to replay. Always appreciate everybody that tunes in live, listens in the replay. This is the vault. Today we're talking about what trust management system do you use? This is episode 733. Really excited about this particular episode. Moving forward, and really getting out some quality information to a lot of the trustees, people that listen to the vote, because a lot of people are aware that there are trust systems, but they don't really have a management system in place, and that's where we see a lot of them fail. They don't really understand that there's a management system that needs to be put in place. It's like when you get a vehicle. If you were to get this type of vehicle in particular, since the trust is so creative and dynamic, when you get into the sector, you're going to get into something where the management system is ever critical to the management of the actual entity to let you know. It's like on the public side when people have operating agreements or they have corporate bylaws, whereas in the private sector you'll usually see, or in trust sector you'll usually see, people have a an indenture. So usually that's the governing instrument, and in turn you have to put more of a detailed, precise management system in place because most people get generic trust documents. So when they get generic trust documents, it's something that you have to tailor to the particular individual or family that you're engaging with. Just because there's not, it's this is you got the template, you got the boiler template, and after you move past the boiler template, you once you move past the boiler template, then you get into, okay, we're gonna go more specific, and we're gonna be detailed. And so that usually comes down to how you're gonna manage it. Ultimately, is everything just an expense, or there are limitations? What are those limitations? How much can this trustee spend on X, Y, and Z for the entity? Can the trustee even do anything in their personal name and the trust is going to pay it, or anything of that nature? These are things that those are management questions. So some people say, okay, Trust Christian, I see that you over here saying it's got to have a management system in place. Where am I gonna go find this management system? Well, you can find a management system, various different forms. You're gonna find a lot of trust systems, quote unquote. Some of them use Robert's rules. A lot of older trusts will use Robert's rules because it shows how to manage a meeting. So you'll get a lot of Robert's rules meetings. That pretty much will govern how your meetings will go, how your readings will be recorded, how your meetings will be conducted. Usually at a very high level, executive level. But at the end of the day, when you're managing, multiple properties, millions of dollars, then yeah, that's the case. It's going to be some type form of Robert's rules. Some people like Six Sigma from the public side. Six Sigma holds it. It's like a long-standing management system that people have in place, and we're sure that there's other ones. So a management system looks like you doing a personality assessment for everybody that comes into the trust as a trustee, maybe even as a beneficiary, but for sure as a trustee. And by doing that personality assessment, you figure out what role they are to play in the entity based off of their personality type and their interest in what they're looking to do for the entity itself. So you're not forcing a square peg in a round hole. Like, these individuals are made for this, they're interested in it, and so yes, that's the case. They Simple as that. That's the case. They have a skill set, and they're going to utilize that skill set. And so the management system can look like it is paying for children, quote unquote, to go get an education. That's the benefit of the trust system, is now children's education is an expense. Or people that are contributing to the trust or have an intent to contribute to the trust, clearly is an expense. And so when you get into this game of, okay, well, I know that I want my child to learn this, so how can they contribute to the trust? If that mindset alone was good, then in one generation you'd be fine, because now people understand they can do what they want to do to a degree, but they always have to come back home. They always have to come back to the original trust situation and be in that position and go from that position, having a mentality of I'm always going to contribute back to the family estate because the family estate paid for me to get to where I want to be. And so that's the mentality, ladies and gentlemen, is making sure that you have people doing the right things. And that's the management system. Some people are better managers than others. Some people are not great managers. So the system should identify who's good managers and who's not good managers. And that once again falls into the category of, oh, I need to look at what? I need to look at this. I need to look at who and what and where. And so if you say, okay, I got personalities, I got how to handle the meetings, you know, Trust Christian, where do I really get a management system? And this is the hardest truth for people to hear. Oh man, how do I get a management system in place? I don't know how to have a management system. Well, if you're in the right trust and you're in common law, you can just go look at the case studies for the previous cases where people have won and lost. And we actually share that with our trustees, the cases that people have won. And in turn, you see, okay, they were challenged this way. There's a few different type of challenges that are going to be brought up. And then once you see that challenge, you just know how to overcome that challenge now. You see how to overcome the challenge by reading the actual case. So the case actually does give you management skill set. And this is something that is very in depth because the lawyers aren't going to tell you that. Why? Because they would much rather read the case law, and you're not going to read the case law. You're not going to read the case. So if you're going to read the case, then you're going to see, okay, now I know pretty much how to defend against X, Y, and Z, or I have a general idea how people stay compliant to where they don't have to defend themselves and they just let these people go on wild goose chases. And we've seen it numerous times, where, you know, where you see it numerous times and you can see that, oh wow, you know, it I see the case. And another thing is in the cases, a lot of times you find out more than just one thing. So you're still seeing how to manage the entity correctly. But see, how many people are gonna read the case law? Oh man, where do I find the case law? We talked to a trustee this past week. I'm like, you gotta go to the law library. Trustee ends up going to the law library after a few minutes of convincing. They end up going to the law library. The law library tells them they get the doc from the law library and they're like, oh, I could do X, Y, and Z and X, Y, and Z at the law library. And we're like, yeah, of course. It's the law library. They have you can go and, have conversation with the librarian and they'll give you the details that you need for the for what you're looking for. They're a librarian. So, really excited, really thankful to do this episode in particular. A lot of trustees, they say, oh man, I don't have a trust system in place. I don't have a management system in place. They don't have a cadence to their meetings. Those are things that you want to solve those problems. You want to put together a system. We can help you at the Vault. Christian at trustchristian.com. Once again, that's Christian at trustchristian.com. Outside of that, you make it a point, ladies and gentlemen, you got to be a great manager. That's just bottom line. And a great manager is surrounding themselves with other great managers. Great managers have great managers around them, no doubt about it. It's working in unison. When you're in trusteeship, you got a board. How you gonna be the best trustee in the trust, and you have not much experience? And people don't hear that like, oh, trust Christian, I know how to do this. It's like, well, no one's saying that you don't know how to manage yourself, but at the end of the day, now you're managing an entity. It's a vehicle. You have to dang near read a manual. The manuals, the original docs. So okay, you read the original docs. Now you got to get in and drive it. It's like these AI bots. All you gotta do, yeah, you get on the AI bot, you just start playing around with it and you use it. Yeah, so there's no instruction manual. What's the instruction manual for trusteeship? The instruction manual definitely is what is that, the indenture, but outside of that there still could be more. And that's the purpose of making it a point to study and be a great manager, so you can be aware of other great managers and what are their best practices. And that's definitely the truth. You want to have great best practices, you're gonna have to make it a point to work around and find other great managers. What are their best practices? And that's something that we know we provide to the marketplace. We know that we're comfortable with helping out trustees and other individuals in this sector when it comes to uh, what do you call it? When it comes to management, because we're around other great managers for sure, and they give us, tips and tricks and things of that nature. But we don't get advice from people that aren't where we want to be in life. So there's no, trust Christian, trust Christian. You're not going, you don't just go take information from the trash can, man. Not at all. Like, we're focused on trusteeship. We are around great trustees right now, not trustees that are aspiring. You can aspire to be a trustee all you want, but at the end of the day, if you're around great trustees, something's gonna rub off. If you're around people that's aspiring, it's just gonna keep on perspiring. And that's all it is. Harsh reality, but the reality is what it is. So when you associate with other great managers, it's important to find out what their work ethic is. We sit around sometimes and we say, man, we think we could do more, we think we could do this, we could think we do that, and people don't even want to know. We got mentors and senior trust managers and managers in general that we know that, man, they in their 50s and 60s still cranking it out. They're in their 70s cranking it out. Like, man, these guys, and we're talking about like still getting up super early in the morning, still very have their wits about them. A lot of it, people say, okay, well, what's the trust system? Well, if the trust gonna have a system, you gotta have a system. That's just real talk. If the trust is gonna have a system, a trust management system, you gotta have a management system. We talked to a trustee this past week. Trustee said, we said, what's your biggest challenge? They said, oh man, time managing time. So we gave them some tips. Okay, great. So what? You get a few tips. It's about you actually doing them. No one cares that you got a few tips. Oh man, I got a few tips, Trust Christian. You told me to, block out periods of time. You told me to plan my schedule out the night before. But oh man, I haven't been able to do that yet. Exactly. What do you mean? I haven't been able to do that yet. You ain't been able to do what? Plan out your schedule the night before? What the system is. The system is like going to school, right? And you're supposed to take a test on that day. Every Friday you take the spelling bee test, right? Okay. Nothing's gonna change. It doesn't matter if it rains, unless it's a fire drill. And if you ever been in the middle of a test, if you went to school and they have fire drills, that don't mean that you don't take the test. You just got a fire drill in the middle of the test. That just makes it easier for you to cheat. That's all that is. So you gotta have a system in place. Oh, Trust Christian, people think they're the smartest person in the room. Oh man, Trust Christian, I ain't gotta plan my schedule all night before. Yeah, you don't know what you're talking about, and that's just bottom line. Trustees, if you think that you're gonna get by, oh, I'm not gonna plan my schedule all the night before. Look, ladies and gentlemen, we've been doing this for years. It's not a negotiation. It might sound like it's a negotiation. It might sound, oh man, I'm so busy. I got the kids. I got this. I had the sniffles. People don't want to hear it. We got trustees that'll say, "Oh, I have an assistant." Some trustees have an assistant, but not really. Most of the trustees that have a true assistant, they're still in control of their schedule. You got to be in control of your time and your schedule. How do you not have control of your time? Because you're not planning out your time. What do you mean? Oh, what do you mean, Trust Christian? If I plan out my time, people be interrupting me. Yeah, because you let them interrupt you. But at the end of the day, if you had a plan, they're not interrupting you. You didn't have a plan, so they're interrupting you. That's not a trust management system. That's not a time management system. It is a failure. That's what it is. And then when you want to overcome that, you overcome it by just making an adjustment in your schedule. Okay, even if I think somebody will say, "Oh man, well, when am I supposed to plan my schedule out?" And all this other stuff. First of all, you gotta dictate that. You gotta come up with it. Usually around, if you go to bed at 10, do it at 9. If you're going to bed at 9, do it at 8. If you're going to bed at 11, 10 o'clock. Do it an hour before. We could put a bunch of adjustments into the wrinkles into how you're going to improve your trust management system, but you got to still make the improvement. You still got to make it a point to do what you got to do when it comes to making the system work. The system has to be based off of planning. How are you going to plan for the next generation? You didn't plan for the previous day, or you're not planning for the next day. Oh, I'm going generational wealth, trust Christian. How you gonna go generational wealth? How you plan? Who you lying or who you think you convincing? You ain't convincing trust Christian. How are you gonna plan out 2 and 3 generations worth of wealth, money or otherwise, and you're not planning out your schedule the night before? See, people think they can shimmy shimmy cocoa puff and get around the subject, but that's why we don't see them in the rooms. That's why we don't see them in the rooms, because the ones that actually are doing the schedule planning, you're not in the room by an accident. It's not an accident. It's not a, oh man, I made it in here. Yeah, the ones that made it in there because their family made it in there, that's what it is. Their family helped them get in there. They ain't doing nothing. So if you're gonna be a part of the group that says, I'm a part of the first gen, I'm planning out for next gen, okay, then you're planning out your night the previous day before. And once again, if you have a schedule, you stick to the schedule. It's just that simple. Trustees might want to hear it any some type of other way, but there is no other type of way, because we around the elite trustees, and the elite trustees plan their schedule out the night before. They have time blocks. See, y'all don't want to hear it. We're gonna go ahead and break it down for y'all, so y'all can hear the truth from Trust Christian involved. And it's not like, oh, Trust Christian, I didn't know it could get that detailed. No, you didn't know, but it can. So here we go. They'll say, oh, Trust Christian, when you plan out the schedule, what does it look like? Like, how do you plan it out? Do you plan it out by the hour? You plan it out by the half hour? You plan it out by the 15-minute block? All right, great. Well, we know at the vault everything that we do every single day. We know we gonna get up. We gonna make it a point to do some type of health contribution to the trust. We gonna make it a point to do some type of financial contribution to the trust, and we gonna do some type of visionary spiritual practice towards the trust, and make sure you're in alignment with the spiritual aspect of it. And not only that, you know, make it a point to learn something new for the family estate every single day. Push yourself to learn something new every single day. To read about the information, to study about the information. Is that's just the way it is. Oh man, trust Christian. Oh, man. All right, so now that y'all see the foundation, for example, to say, okay, well, trusteeship information, you know, if you're gonna learn about it, it's just you gotta learn about it an hour a day. Okay, great. So sometimes you'll get into a life situation where you say, oh man, I do things better in the AM and I do other things better in the PM. So okay, we already know for us, it's sometimes in the evening. It's just easier to learn because we got so much stuff to do in the AM that the PM, it does we always love learning, but we could learn in the AM too, but it's your learning comes in the PM. Okay, what about the health contribution? The health contribution might come in the front. That means you might make proper meals. That means you might go, you know, make sure you could stay health and vitality so you can operate, you know, as a trustee properly. So you staying in good health. You making sure that the trust has proper health research. What are the health things that people need to be doing as a trustee, and then doing those things. That's how you contribute. So okay, so we go back to that now. We got, okay, you got the health stuff, the financial stuff. Okay, what are you doing? A lot of people think this part like the easiest part. How is the easiest part? You think you contribute to the family estate because you work a job, and not no. And then not only that, if you got a business, you got to go out and build something. You got to really go out and grow something. It's got to be a real business, a legitimate business. Oh man, straight up. Oh man, I'm a trader. That's not no business. That's like, think about how people talk nowadays over the internet. Oh man, I'm a trader. How is it a business? Yeah, you can, you know, obviously LLC can work with the brokerage firm, but we talking about, how is that a business? You're the person that makes all the money. If something happens to you and you don't make enough, or you're making just enough, how is that a success? That's not a business. We talking about like actual real businesses that sell product and services. So we know what we hear over at the vault. So once again, if you say, okay, I'm gonna contribute to the family estate on the vault financially, yeah, okay, what are you doing to produce income for the family estate from a trust perspective? Like, actively doing this. What are you doing? All right. And then here we go. People don't want to hear this. We got trustees. They think they slick. Trust Christian. I'm working in the on the trust. Yeah, that's what you're doing. You working in the trust. You're not working on it. You're not working on the out. You're not working on the vision. You doing grunt work. Oh man, I'm just trying to make some money for the trust Christian. I'm gonna go out here and make money. I'm gonna be the operator. I'm gonna go out here and be the businessman, be the businesswoman, be the business owner. Yeah, I'm gonna go out here and be the business owner. Or the manager now as the business, because I'm gonna just keep doing that. I'm trying to build a business. That's what you're trying to do. You're trying to build a business. You're not building a trust. There's a difference, because the trust got multiple businesses. The trust has multiple assets. The trust has multiple everything. So how you gonna sit here and say, "Oh yeah, I'm working in it"? Yeah, that's all you're doing. You working in it. You got to work on it too. So when trustees think they slick, oh man, trust Christian, I'm working hard, man. I'm doing my best to build up the cash for the trust. Okay, great. But at the end of the day, the best managers understand that, and we talking about true elite managers, not, oh man, I'm just out here, I'm a manager, I got assets, and I'm the manager, I got multiple things going on. Yeah, okay, but you the only trustee. Y'all want to go there? How you the only trustee in a trust and you a great manager? You're not an elite manager if you're the only trustee. I know that's hard for people to hear. It's like, oh man, trust Christian, what do you mean? Y'all don't want to know. We were trained by the best. We were trained by the elite. Yes, you have to have other trustees. There's no way around it. It's no, oh man, trust Christian. I don't trust nobody. Oh man, trust Christian. Ain't nobody trying to learn it like me. That's what a lot of them say. Oh man, ain't nobody in my family trying to learn it like me. Right? That's the point. You gotta go out and find other trustees to hold you accountable to do what you're supposed to do, even when your family not there. It's not hard. They just making it hard. I ain't found nobody yet. I'm 2 months in. You ain't found nobody yet. That's because you're not serious. Y'all don't want to hear this. You're not serious. You can't sit here and ask Trust Christian, oh, Trust Christian, do you have other trustees in the trust with you? Of course. In trusteeship, yes. Yes. We sit on boards. We understand it. We're selective. As a Trust Christian's very selective now. I ain't just jumping on nothing. You know what I mean? Because a lot of people like, I got to trust it. I'm going to build it up. Can't you jump on it now? Help me put the system in place? Nah, not doing that for sure. Because trustees, they don't really want to know. A lot of them is riding with training wheels. And it's okay to ride with training wheels before obviously, ride without the training wheels. But sometimes trustees think that they could just ride with training wheels forever. If they knew Trust Christian was involved with it, they'd be doing everything. That's why Trust Christian works with people smarter than him, so he can always be the extra growing wheel, the extra growing person in trusteeship, because you're around elite managers. When you're around elite managers, you learn elite skills. Simple as that. You learn elite everything. That's what you're focused on, being the best. And that's hard for people to hear. That's what being around other trustees is gonna do. They can hold you accountable to a degree. Ah man, or you might make you compete or hold you accountable. And what's wrong with either one of them? So very excited, very thankful, looking forward to it. If you want to build out the system, we can tell you Christian at trustchristian.com. Once again, that's Christian at trustchristian.com. We look forward to hearing from you from the vault live. Christian at trustchristian.com. What was I gonna say to anybody? Everybody, appreciate y'all big time. We've always had some great episodes, great people tuning in live, and the influx of trustees been great. So this one right here was just more focused on people understanding. A bunch of trustees asking these type of questions, and at the end of the day, how you gonna get the results you want if you don't have a system in place, and a management system at that, so you can manage your time? How you gonna be a successful trustee? You don't manage your time. Some trustees say, "Oh, trust Christian, I have such an emotional hardship with it." Yeah, you can always build it. You can always reinforce it. You can always grow it. You can always become better. So how is it oh man, trust Christian, look where I'm at. I'm having a hard time doing it. Yeah, so what? We all had it. Unless you were born into the trust system, where you were born into time management systems, you don't have the skill set. So what you do is you build the skill set. It's not oh man, trust Christian, I don't have the capacity. If you don't have the capacity, it's not for you. It's not rocket science. It's not hard. It's that simple. It's either for you or it's not. If the generational wealth system is for you, the trust management system is for you, that means you're going to have a time management system in place. It's different types of ones, many of them. It's more than one. People, we recommend a trustee, they come straight online, oh blah blah. We gave them something, and guess what? They burnt out. Why? Because they see now, wow, I gotta hold myself accountable more than anything. That's all you doing. That's all you doing is holding yourself accountable. But when you don't have a system around you already, the people, the family, the friends that are holding themselves accountable to the time frames that they supposed to be doing things or doing the things they supposed to be doing, what you think your results gonna be? Birds of a feather flock together. They don't want to hear that though. Oh no, Trust Christian. I'm the one that knows all this information. My family leans on me. But then we all got to get better. So if our getting better means that we got to go find more people to associate with other than our family and friends because they're not perpetuating the system and birds of a feather flock together, then you already know what time it is. It's not hard. It is what it is. It just is what it is. We're going to keep it simple for the trustees. People that say they want to be trustees. Yes, you do go in wealthy environments. Appreciate everybody for tuning in live, listen to replay. Feel free to reach out. Christian at trustchristian.com. Once again, that's Christian at trustchristian.com. Peace and joy.